What's up, guys? It's Jamie here. And one of the big questions that I hear from a lot of students, and something that actually came up at a coaching call today, was how do you build trust and credibility in yourself as a brand when you're getting started? You don't necessarily have all those huge results. You don't have the big screenshots and the awards and all that type of stuff. So how do you start to build that when you're getting started? And in this video, I'm going to address just that. I will catch you guys right. All right, welcome back, guys. My name's Jamie, and if this is the first time on the channel, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. I'm a full-time affiliate marketer, also a coach for a program. I've got well over 670 students at the time of recording, absolutely crushing it with their affiliate marketing business. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about what I'm up to, feel free to hit subscribe. And of course, if you'd like to join my free Facebook group, there's a link below where you can jump in and check that out as well. I often have free trainings and all sorts of cool stuff there to help you with your business. So let's dive straight into it. When you're getting started and you're building a personal brand, which is what I specialize in, it's a little bit tricky. I understand the kind of like dilemma that goes through most people's head, because on one hand, you're trying to learn this stuff and you're figuring it all out and you're putting out content, you're doing the thing, and you're reaching out to certain people and you're trying to build your, relationships with your audience. And so then the question is, well, how do you build trust and credibility? Why would anyone choose to buy from me versus, say, a Jamie who's got so many thousands of subscribers? No, I don't. Look, it's 2,000. This take me years to get to this point. Or you've got this huge brand, but that's kind of the cool thing, is that I actually don't. I've got a really, really tiny audience. That's one thing I would say, is that you don't need a huge audience to make significant income online, which is really, really cool. So anyway, before I digress too far, how do you start building that? Well, the first part comes from your own mindset. And if you think that you're able to help other people out, then you really believe that, that's going to resonate with your audience. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, I'm not going to go into the mindset of how you actually go about doing that. That's something that you need to address within yourself and your self-belief and your self-image, all that type of stuff. What I will say, though, is there is a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do to start to build that sense of credibility. And there's a few mindset things I will cover, just not in depth when it comes to the initial stuff, because that's on you. Sorry, I'm not a shrink. I wish I was, to be able to help way more people, but that's on you. So anyway, with all that being said, the first thing is, if you are on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media for that matter, one of the things that you can do to build your own credibility is actually giving first. Now, what I mean by that is, if I refer to Facebook, it's where I specialize, by the way. If you happen to add a whole bunch of people as friends who happen to be interested in the same stuff as you, and you're just putting up your post and you're thinking, hope someone likes my post, probably not going to happen. What you need to do is give first. And so what I mean by that is, you go out there and you spend some time engaging in other people's content. You go and find that person you've just connected with, you give their content, assuming that it's relevant and recent. Don't be a weirdo and liking stuff from 2017, kind of creepy. Just as long as it's relevant and recent, give it a heart, drop a relevant comment, and do that on repeat. Right now, this is something that is very easy to do. We can all do it. We can all create our own engagement. And the reasons why you want to do this, number one, is you're aiming for reciprocity. Now, if someone happens to be in your audience and you've engaged in their content, two things happen. It's more likely that they're going to see your content, and secondly, they're more likely to actually engage in your content back, which has a couple of really cool benefits. Number one is, we have something called social proof. Okay, and this is the first part of building credibility. You have to have some level of social proof. What I mean by that is, if we stumble upon someone's profile and they have 300 comments, 500 likes, you can imagine how much credibility you would subconsciously give that person if they were interested in the same stuff and they're putting up content that was relevant to your interests, right? So you'd all of a sudden think, oh, they must know some stuff. They've had 300 people validate them. They've had 500 people liking them. Like, this is incredible. And that is what happens in our subconscious. Even if it's not a conscious act, this is called social proof. We make decisions a lot of the time based on the validity of other people making similar decisions, right? So social proof, this is why testimonials work well, which is going to be my next point. Testimonials, this is another thing that we can all do. Even if you've got no sales, you don't need sales for this one. This is really freaking cool. All you need to do is, when you're learning some stuff, and especially if you're just brand new and you're like, hey, just found out something. Turns out you don't actually need to build an email list to make income online. There you go. I just broke one of the age-old doctrines. I ruined it, didn't I? Which is ironic, given that I've got a list, but I don't necessarily need it to make a pretty decent income, right? That's a topic for another time. Anyway, I digress. So maybe that's something that you learn, and maybe you might also learn that you don't necessarily need funnels. And I get there's a certain irony with me saying that, but maybe you start learning a few of these things. You think, oh, okay, cool. Well, now I'm going to jump on a call with someone and genuinely help them out with no self interest at all. But maybe, just maybe, there is a tiny little smidge of self interest, which is, hey, I'd love to help you out with this thing. I'm pretty sure I can help you with a couple of bits and pieces, maybe like a sales script, or maybe some content, or maybe just to help solve a few of these things that you're stuck with. But would you mind giving me a testimonial in return? Testimonial in return, not a testimonial. Did I just make up a word? Is testimonial a word? I'll have to figure that one out later. Anyway, testimonial. And so what that means is that if you do this a couple of times and if they're nice enough to give you a video testimonial, what that means is that you've got video content which you can use and you can repurpose. You can take the transcription of that, and there you've got a transcription of that which you can use. You can use segments of what they've said as quote cards. So now you've got all this content from one little piece of thing. And if they just, I say just, if they just give you a thing like a response in Messenger, use that in your Facebook stories. You can show that on your screen. I'm going to try and get all fancy over here, and where is it? Over this way. Show something on my screen about here. Timestamp. Where are we? All right, sweet. Now I know. This won't be the fanciest editing you've ever seen, but I'll try and put something up there. Anyway, maybe you do that. Maybe you put it up as a Facebook story. Maybe you put it up as a Facebook post. Maybe you actually write it out and then put it as part of another post. So different ways that you can use it. But what this is going to do is, number one, for your own psychology is really important, because then you've been validated in your own mind. You're like, sweet, I'm helping someone else out. Doesn't necessarily mean you're leading to a sale, but guess what else happens? You build a very strong bond with that person, a great relationship with that person. They may come back and buy some stuff later. It might be easier to bridge that conversation. Hey, what else are you working on? Is there anything that you're stuck with? By the way, just jumped into this program. It's freaking awesome. It's got all this awesome training that's going to help you go through XYZ. Do you want to check it out? I think it'd be a good fit for you. Awesome. Maybe not, right? It might not be the right fit for them, but maybe there's something else you can help them with, right? Hopefully this is making sense. So those are two things, really easy engagement and social proof through testimonials. Really, really simple stuff, right? So then next thing is what happens is then you start getting your own sales, okay? And it starts off with leads, okay? So then we've gone engagement, and then we've gone testimonials, and then we've got leads. And so inbound leads, that's now something that you are able to build credibility around. And it doesn't need to be overly complex, by the way. I could just do it here in this video and say, hey, if you want to learn more about how I can help you with your business, how you can be maybe my next success story and build a business that goes from $0 to $10,000 plus per month over the next 60 to 90 days, hit the button below. It's going to lead you through to my free group. And if you're interested, we can reach out, have a very relaxed conversation, and see if I can actually help you out with anything. There you go. Offer. Nice and easy, right? So when you go through this pathway and you're learning these things and you're putting all these things together and you're doing that type of stuff and you're getting the testimonials and getting inbound leads through that type of stuff as well, it's not overly hard to see that the next step beyond that would be, of course, sales. Right? And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that it's magically going to go from engagement to sales just like that. But you can see there's a bit of a pathway that you're mapping out for yourself now. And of course, when you get to that point, when you start making your own sales, then you have more and more credibility. Well, they must be doing some stuff. Look at all these screenshots. Look at that stuff. Look at that amazing thing that they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And then the cool part is eventually you Seriously, should I just? I think I'm going to quit YouTube. Seriously, this is like doing my head in. No, I'm kidding. Look, so then the next part beyond that is you start getting your own students, right? And sometimes your students end up doing really well and they kick butt and they get some great results themselves. And if that is the case, then you've got all these spectrums of credibility getting built, because a lot of the time those people like the fact that you've helped them out. Like, hey, this dude's provided a ton of value over the years. It's awesome. Hey, I've invested in this dude's program. It was awesome. Love it. Testimonial. And then if they start making money and you are able to show that as a sense of credibility to your audience, you can see how it kind of balloons out, right? Now, If you don't have any of that, and you don't want to get an engagement, you don't want to get testimonials, all that type of stuff, there is still a way that you can do it. If you have access to, I would assume, probably a high ticket product, maybe it would work for low ticket products as well. You normally will see that there is case studies of people having some level of success in those programs. It could be a testimonial, it could be a case study in a Facebook group, whatever it is, or just someone sharing their wins. And when you show that to your audience and you validate that it's coming from the program that you're part of, it actually bolsters your own brand as well. And this is what I would refer to as deferred credibility. It means that you don't even need to credibility yourself because the actual program itself has all the credibility that you need, right? So it means there's an emotional detachment from that actual program as well. You don't need to think, oh gosh, but I suck at sales, and oh gosh, I hope that they do the thing. You don't need to worry about that because it's the program itself which holds that weight for you, if that makes sense, right? Kind of cool stuff. So there is one more part of this whole thing, and this circles back to the very start of this video where I said it's got to start with the mind, right? And so when you're going through this pathway and you're doing things like getting engagement and you're getting some inbound leads and you're welcoming people into your circle and you're getting, I don't know, a couple of sales and then your students are getting sales, things like that, it's really important that you actually validate it in your own mind by putting it out there a little bit. And it can feel very, very strange to start with. A lot of the time, it almost feels like you're bragging or something like that. And the truth of the matter is that it's a way for us to keep scorecard a lot of the time. Yes, go me, I got some great engagement. Yes, go me, made some sales. Yay, my students are kicking butt. That's usually the best one for me anyway, to be honest. But the reason I say this is because if you think that the only barometer, the only measuring stick of your success is the financial gain from going through this pathway, it means that you're always going to be stuck because you're always looking at what you don't have, right? Until you eventually have that. You eventually have a few sales, you're like, yeah, I get it. But until you're at that point, then you're making life infinitely harder for yourself by not just staying in the zone, thinking about the things that you can control, and staying focused on what you can achieve and you have achieved as you go through. So maybe it is increased engagement, maybe it is inbound leads, maybe it is a couple of sale notifications of a low ticket product. I'm not saying these are the end goal, but maybe, just maybe, that it's enough for you to stay focused, going, yes, I am doing something right. This is awesome. Yes, I'm sharing that, and you get comfortable with the idea of putting that out a little bit because this game, specifically with organic marketing, is all about self promotion anyway. And like I say, it's not super comfortable when you get started, but it beats the crap out of working with someone else, I can assure you. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. This has been like take number 30 of this video. I'm just going to roll with this one. I'm not the greatest presenter when it comes to these things, and so you probably won't see any fancy editing, although I will try and put that little screenshot above because I feel like being fancy today. But all that said, take note of what I'm saying. This helps build the trust factor in your brand, helps build the credibility in your brand. And when you do that, and other people are seeing results and blah, 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 and testimonials and things like that, it can't help but create a sense of exclusivity around working with you. It actually bolsters your own, I guess, positioning within your own audience as well, which is really, really powerful.